Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Vincent, and I'm going to be using Screencastify to give my proposal for the melting pot myth. As you can see, I have quite a bit of stuff here on my screen, so I'm just going to kind of go over some things with you. First is to give a brief overview of my argument. My argument is on the melting pot myth, and I think that people hang on to the idea that America is a melting pot because that is what we were taught in school and what we want to believe. But I also believe that there's an underlying current of racism, sexual preferences, and general beliefs that I have encountered in every place that I've lived across America that proves that America is still largely segregated, where people move off with a sort of herding mentality in order to live. I wouldn't say that that's necessarily just something that is done in America, but I think that that's a normal part of being a person. People tend to gravitate towards those that are more like minded. However, I believe that when I was growing up, I was taught about the American melting pot myth and what we were told that America was and what we actually are. If we look at it through a realistic point of view, it's still not it's not the ideal. And I'm hoping that through my research, I'll be able to support that argument. The mode of delivery that I've selected is to use emails, which is a lot like Prezi, except that it's more cost efficient. Um, I if you can see, this is emails here, and let me see if I can just make it a little bit bigger for you. This is a video editing or type of video editing tool, even a bit like PowerPoint, where I can choose a different theme and then go through and make different selections. One of the things that I'm going to do for my presentation is to do interviews, video interviews, also use a video that I found um, and do voice interviews for people to get their stories and their backgrounds. In my initial paper, I talked about my story as a Hispanic woman growing up in Texas and in America, and my first encounter with racism, my first encounter with sexual harassment, and just what I've seen um, as our different major cities being segregated. And I believe that if we actually spoke to other people around my age, they would have similar stories. So the idea is to interview a bunch of different people and to get just documentation, such as maps and whatnot, that would show uh, that there are a lot of similar stories to mine. And I'd like to present that through using emails. It's a new program for me, but I'm pretty good with computers, so I think that it won't be too much of a problem. Um, Also, the audience that I am going to be speaking to, I'm going to make the audience for my arguments what I would call disaffected young adults, um, people who are looking for the America that we were told America was when we were growing up. When I started researching the myth, I began to realize that not only was I researching it for class in school, which is great, but I was also trying to prove something to myself and to people like me that the America that we're looking for is inside of us. If we are willing to actually make that a reality, because right now it's not a reality. One of the questions that I ask people in my interviewing process is, do you know the side of town in your city where the lesbian, gay, transgender, bisexual community is? Do you know this section in your town where the Asian community is, or the African American community, or the Hispanic community? And if you can actually pinpoint those areas in your city, then are we really the melting pot or as together as we say we are? So I believe that there are a lot of us who would like for things to be different, who even maybe have our own cohesive units, but in reality, we're still very much separated. So that is who my audience would be. For my style of argument, I am going to be using reasoning with positive thinking. I've come to see that we have almost been conditioned to believe that America and our communities are a certain way, but when we dig deeper, we can see that that's not a reality. But like I keep saying, the reality is often not the one that we want, but it is the one that we're dreaming of for America. And I think that it's not as far as we might imagine it is because of that. As far as integrating uh, my research to fit my mode of delivery, I have a few things, like I said before. I would like to use this. It's not a documentary, it is actually a stand up comedy by Hassan Minaj that I saw on Netflix. However, a lot of the things that he says as being a first generation person here in America touches base with what I'm trying to say. So I'd like to use snippets from his comedy or stand-up comedy. And if you'll notice here on emails, I can actually put video into my presentation. So I'd like to integrate that. I also have found some really good maps that I'm going to show uh, through America's Most Segregated Cities article online. I found a book called The Latino Body: Crisis Identities in American Literary and Cultural Memory that I'd like to provide snippets of through emails. And then I also would like to show through some more maps the invisible borders that define American culture, as well as snippets from the videos for interviews. But this is my bibliography, which I'll also show in the ending credits of my emails. So that is my proposal, and I'm open to all forms of feedback and just anything that might help with making this research argument better. So thank you for listening and have a great day.